You're here because you were assaulted when you were younger, right?
Yes.
Did you know the man that assaulted you?
Yes, he was my neighbor's son.
How old were you when this happened?
I was around 5 years old.
And how old was he?
He was about 17 or 18.
What do you remember most from the encounter?
I remember him appearing at night at my sister and I's shared bedroom window, and him bringing to our attention his, what he called his lollipop.
And did anybody else know about the encounter when it happened?
Other than my sister now.
And who have you told since then?
When I was about 15 or 16, I understood what had happened. I told my mother, my best friend, my ex-boyfriend, and my current boyfriend.
And do you feel like this event has affected you even now?
I think it definitely has affected my boyfriend's and I's intimate relationship with each other.
Okay.
%13 of female rape victims attempt suicide.
Every year, 321,500 people over the age of 12 are sexually assaulted.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me. And you are a staff member at the Shafer Center, correct?
Yes.
And approximately how many victims of sexual assault do you see every week?
Every week it depends. We have regular clients that we see for therapy between myself and the other counselor. So I would say if I had to do a guesstimate, I would say we probably see about 15 for regular therapy. But we also do assessments for new people who are coming in wanting to do therapy. So we usually do about 5 of those a week. So I would say roughly about 20. We also have our crisis line, our 24-hour crisis line that you can call. So a lot of times people just call because they need to talk to somebody. And that can depend. It varies just depending. I would say probably about around 10 calls a month.
Okay. And how long have you worked here?
I started here contractually, so like part-time. I was on here about a day a week in 2012, and then I started full-time in 2014. So I've been here about 6 years.
What made you want to work here?
Well, I actually started with Hattiesburg Police Department. I was their victim advocate, so I worked with victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. And while I was there, I actually went back to get my master's degree in counseling psychology because I wanted to do more of a counseling with the victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. And our director, Kim Newell, was the one who brought me over contractually to start doing some therapy with victims. And I just really liked it. And honestly, ever since I've started in victim advocacy, it's kind of been my calling, in my opinion. So when we had a full-time position open up, I wanted to come over so I could do a little bit more like intense counseling, prevention, that kind of thing.
It is amazing work that you guys do here. And well, in all your time advocating for victims and doing this counseling, has there ever been one story that stuck out to you the most?
You know what? Everybody's story is, it's all kind of stays with you. We're talking about basically the absolute worst violation that can happen to a human being. So those stories always just kind of stick with you. I don't think that there's one sexual assault that's worse than the other. I think it's really situational, person to person. So I can't really say that there's any one that really sticks in my head.
Okay. And do you have anything to say to victims that haven't come and gotten help yet for any reason?
Yeah, a lot of people, when they've been sexually assaulted, they immediately have people telling them, go do therapy, go do therapy, go do therapy. And that's coming from a place of love. That's coming from people wanting to help them. But they're not always ready immediately after the assault to do that. We see child victims, we see adult victims, we see adults who were molested as children and didn't do therapy until they became adults because they weren't ready to deal with what happened to them as children. So, if you haven't reached out for help as a victim, that is a completely normal thing. There's nothing wrong with you. It just may mean that you haven't gotten to that place in your life where you really want to do the therapy and do the work, because it is difficult. You're talking about probably the worst time in your life. And although we never make you say, you know, moment to moment what happened, we are talking about the trauma, and we're talking about the things that has happened and caused in your life. So that's a very difficult thing to do. It's very scary. So, you know, if a victim is ready to do therapy, absolutely, we're here to help any way we can. If you're not ready, that's okay too.
Okay.
We never want to tell a victim, oh no, you don't want to get help, then you must not want to get better. No, it's just they haven't got to that point where they really want to address it and do the work, and that's perfectly okay.